Turkey is a country that is not a member of the European Union, but has been involved in the membership process for many years. Turkey first signed an association agreement with the European Economic Community in 1963 and applied for full membership in 1987. However, this process has been delayed repeatedly due to political, economic, and strategic reasons. Although Turkey gained candidate status in 1999, negotiations have not progressed at the expected pace, and in recent years, Turkey's economic situation, criticisms regarding democracy and human rights, immigration policies, and tensions in the Eastern Mediterranean have further complicated the membership process. However, Turkey's lack of full membership in the European Union does not mean that its relations with the West have completely broken down. Turkey possesses one of NATO's strongest armies and is in a critical position regarding Europe's security. European countries, not wanting to lose Turkey's strategic military strength, continue to seek various ways of cooperation. Social media occasionally shares posts presenting Turkey as if it were a member of the European Union, which can be seen as a reflection of this cooperation. However, many Turkish citizens do not find it appropriate to be portrayed this way, given that Turkey is not an EU member. On the other hand, Turkey continues to pursue a balanced foreign policy on the global political stage. It has played a significant mediation role in the ongoing war between Russia and Ukraine. Through the initiatives of President Recep Tayyip Erdogan, the creation of the Grain Corridor Agreement helped prevent a global food crisis and ensured the continuation of global trade. Turkey has been working to maintain diplomatic contacts with both Ukraine and Russia, trying to maintain balance between the parties. Erdogan has long-standing strong relations with Russian President Vladimir Putin and recently met with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, further showcasing Turkey's prominent role in this process. All these developments demonstrate that Turkey is not only a regional power, but also an influential actor in global politics. In the Russia-Ukraine war, Turkey plays a role as significant as the United States, continuing to be one of the key countries shaping the balances in both Europe and Asia. If you liked my video, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to my channel. Also, feel free to share your thoughts in the comments and join the discussion. Donald Trump imposed a 25% tariff on imported products from Canada. In response, Canada stated that the cost of Trump's 25% tariff would be borne primarily by Americans. Outgoing Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau addressed journalists in the capital, Ottawa, warning that if Trump implements this plan, Canada will retaliate with counter-tariffs, leading to a price increase on almost everything for American consumers. Trudeau also pointed out that nearly a quarter of the oil consumed daily in the U.S. comes from Canada. As a result of this dispute, Canadian citizens decided to boycott American products. The tensions between the two countries are escalating daily. Canadian business owners have started removing American products from store shelves, and this movement has gained significant traction on social media. Many Canadians see this as a necessary response to Trump's aggressive trade policies, while others worry about the long-term economic consequences. The situation has drawn comparisons to the ongoing boycott by Muslims against Israeli products. The fact that Canadian citizens are now adopting a similar strategy has become a topic of ridicule among some Americans, who dismiss it as ineffective. Trump's decision to impose tariffs on Canadian imports was part of his broader protectionist trade policies. Throughout his presidency, Trump argued that the U.S. had been taken advantage of in global trade agreements and sought to renegotiate many of them, including NAFTA. He believed that tariffs would help bring back American manufacturing jobs and reduce the trade deficit. However, many economists warned that these tariffs could backfire, leading to higher prices for American consumers and potential job losses in industries dependent on Canadian imports. The Canadian government was swift in its response. Trudeau and his administration prepared a list of retaliatory tariffs targeting key American exports, including steel, aluminum, and various agricultural products. The goal was to put pressure on American businesses and force Trump to reconsider his stance. Trudeau emphasized that Canada had no choice but to defend its economic interests, and that his government would stand firm against any unfair trade policies imposed by the U.S. Public sentiment in Canada was overwhelmingly against Trump's decision. Many Canadians viewed the tariffs as an attack on their economy and responded with grassroots movements aimed at reducing reliance on American goods. Social media campaigns encouraged Canadians to buy local products and avoid American brands. Some businesses prominently displayed signs stating that they no longer carried American-made items. Supermarkets and retail chains actively promoted Canadian alternatives to American products, further fueling the boycott movement. At the same time, American businesses that relied on Canadian imports began to feel the impact of the tariffs. Manufacturers that used Canadian steel and aluminum saw increased costs, which they either had to absorb or pass on to consumers. The automobile industry in particular was affected, as many car parts are sourced from Canada. Small businesses also faced challenges, as suppliers had to navigate the new tariff landscape and adjust their pricing strategies accordingly. Despite these economic repercussions, Trump remained steadfast in his position, arguing that the tariffs were necessary to protect American jobs. He dismissed criticisms from economists and business leaders, claiming that the U.S. economy was strong enough to withstand any temporary setbacks. He also doubled down on his stance that countries engaging in unfair trade practices should be held accountable, regardless of the consequences. Meanwhile, Trudeau's handling of the situation was closely scrutinized in Canada. While some praised his firm stance against Trump, others worried about the long-term implications of a trade war with the U.S., Canada's largest trading partner. Some businesses expressed concerns that retaliatory tariffs could ultimately harm Canadian industries by making goods more expensive and reducing competitiveness in global markets. Beyond economic factors, the trade dispute had political implications as well. In the U.S., Trump's base largely supported his tough stance on trade, viewing it as a necessary step toward achieving economic independence. However, critics argued that his approach was short-sighted and could lead to unintended consequences, such as strained diplomatic relations with allies. In Canada, the conflict influenced public opinion on both Trudeau and Trump's leadership. Many Canadians felt a renewed sense of national pride in standing up to the U.S., while others worried about the impact on businesses and consumers. The dispute also reignited debates about Canada's economic dependence on the U.S. and the need to diversify trade relationships with other countries. As tensions continued to rise, both governments faced increasing pressure to find a resolution. Diplomats from both countries engaged in negotiations to ease trade restrictions and prevent further escalation. Some analysts predicted that a compromise would eventually be reached, while others warned that the dispute could drag on for years, causing long-term damage to both economies. Donald Trump served as the 45th President of the United States from 2017 to 2021. Before entering politics, he was a businessman and television personality. Known for his populist and nationalist policies, he focused on issues such as immigration, trade, and deregulation. His administration prioritized America First policies, which included renegotiating trade deals, imposing tariffs, and reducing reliance on foreign manufacturing. His trade policies were often controversial, drawing both strong support and criticism from different sectors. Justin Trudeau served as the 23rd Prime Minister of Canada, assuming office in 2015. A member of the Liberal Party, he was known for his progressive policies on climate change, immigration, and social justice. Trudeau emphasized multilateralism and strong diplomatic relationships with allies. His leadership was tested during trade disputes with the U.S., particularly during Trump's presidency. Despite facing challenges, he remained a prominent advocate for Canadian economic interests and sought to minimize the impact of U.S. trade policies on Canada. The trade dispute between the U.S. and Canada during Trump's presidency highlighted the complexities of international trade and the far-reaching consequences of economic policies. While both countries remained important trade partners, their relationship was tested by differing economic strategies and political ideologies. The impact of these tariffs continued to be felt even after Trump left office, shaping future trade negotiations and economic policies in both nations. Trade relations between Canada and the United States, USA, have historically encompassed both cooperation and competition. Recently, Canada's consideration of imposing retaliatory tariffs on certain U.S. products has brought trade dynamics between the two countries back into focus. Canada is contemplating retaliatory tariffs in response to specific U.S. trade policies. These tariffs typically involve additional taxes on imported goods to protect domestic producers and prevent unfair competition. Canada's move is seen as a reaction to U.S. trade policies. Retaliatory tariffs could impact trade volume between the two countries. Canada and the U.S. are among each other's largest trading partners, and any disruption in trade could negatively affect both economies. The agriculture, automotive, and technology sectors are particularly vulnerable to such tariffs. Canada's decision to impose retaliatory tariffs has sparked domestic debate. Some argue that this measure would protect local industries, while others express concerns that it could lead to higher consumer prices and inflation. Additionally, there are fears that such tariffs might escalate trade wars and harm the global trade system in the long run. International trade experts emphasize that while retaliatory tariffs may provide short-term solutions, adopting a more constructive diplomatic approach is essential for long-term stability. Negotiating trade disputes through dialogue would be in the best economic interests of both Canada and the U.S. In conclusion, Canada's consideration of retaliatory tariffs on certain U.S. products could mark a new phase in bilateral trade relations. It is crucial for both countries to carefully assess their trade policies and take potential consequences into account. Since 2019, the sixth and current president of Ukraine, Ukrainian politician and comedian Volodymyr Zelensky, has been the subject of controversy because he does not wear a suit. In this video, we will explain why he does not wear a suit. Before moving on to our video, you can like our video and subscribe to our channel. Let's move on to our video right away. When Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky arrived in Washington last Friday, he was met with a comment from U.S. President Donald Trump. "You're dressed very nicely today." This remark was just the first of several directed at Zelensky's attire that day, leading to aggressive questioning of his clothing choices. Brian Glenn, a reporter for the conservative cable network Real America, confronted Zelensky asking, "Why don't you wear a suit? You hold the highest office in this country, yet you refuse to wear one." He continued by stating, "Many Americans take issue with what they see as a lack of respect for the dignity of this office." Zelensky's response was simple: "I will wear a suit when the war is over." "I will wear costume after this war will finish," Zelensky replied. The word suit can be translated into Ukrainian as kostyum. Zelensky's choice of attire has remained unchanged since the war began in 2022. Instead of suits and dress shoes, he opts for simple sweatshirts, usually black or olive green, cargo pants, and work boots, often featuring the symbol of Ukraine's trident. This decision is a deliberate one, meant to project an image of solidarity with his people, as they continue to fight for their country's survival. Since the full-scale invasion, Zelensky has consistently presented himself in military-style clothing, even during high-profile visits. When he first addressed the U.S. Congress after the invasion, he wore a signature khaki sweater. Whether in state visits, TV interviews, or meetings with soldiers on the front lines, he has maintained this look, reinforcing a strong and unwavering message about Ukraine's ongoing struggle. Prior to the war, Zelensky dressed like any other world leader, donning suits and maintaining a clean-shaven appearance. However, his image has since transformed, with even his beard now serving as a symbol of his wartime leadership. Agatha Gorsky, co-founder of the Shadows Project, a creative consultancy focused on Ukrainian culture, stated, "This is our reality. Our president reflects that. Walk around Kyiv, and you'll see people dressed the same way." Zelensky's clothing choices send a message that Ukraine is still at war. Unlike past leaders such as Winston Churchill, who once visited the White House wearing a one-piece suit designed for air raid shelters, Zelensky does not alter his appearance even for diplomatic events. Instead, his outfit has become an integral part of his image, ensuring that no one forgets the situation his country faces. Military-style clothing is often associated with power, authority, and legitimacy, worn by generals, war veterans, and statesmen alike. However, Zelensky's attire is not a formal uniform adorned with medals. Instead, it conveys the image of an off-duty soldier, an ordinary citizen standing with his people. His consistency in appearance underscores his alignment with the Ukrainian forces and civilians enduring the hardships of war. Gorsky argues that criticism of Zelensky's attire extends beyond the Oval Office, suggesting that such scrutiny mocks those fighting for their nation's survival. She believes Zelensky, given his background in comedy and acting, understands better than most the impact of appearance. He knows exactly what it means to dress a certain way and play a role. Zelensky's wife, Olena Zelenska, has also faced criticism for her fashion choices. The couple's decision to participate in a 2022 Vogue photo shoot sparked heated debates, with Republican politician Lauren Boebert accusing Zelensky of viewing Ukrainians as a bunch of suckers. Some argued that Zelenska's stylish wardrobe contradicted the ongoing war efforts. Despite the controversy, many Ukrainians see Zelensky's unconventional style as a powerful statement of solidarity and a shift from traditional political norms. For them, his appearance represents a modern, charismatic leadership that defies outdated expectations. Gorsky emphasized, "What we realize today is that leadership is no longer defined by wearing a suit, nor does it have to be." Volodymyr Zelensky, the current president of Ukraine, has had a remarkable journey from being a comedian and television producer to becoming a political leader. His rise to power is a unique example of how an outsider with no prior political experience can influence a nation's political landscape. Volodymyr Alexandrovich Zelensky was born on January 25, 1978, in Kryvyi Rih, a city in central Ukraine, which was then part of the Soviet Union. His family was of Jewish descent, and his father, Alexander Zelensky, was a professor of cybernetics, while his mother, Rima Zelenska, worked as an engineer. Zelensky was an academically gifted student and showed an early interest in the arts and performance. As a child, he spent several years in Mongolia, where his father worked on a government project. He later returned to Ukraine and attended Kryvyi Rih Economic Institute, a branch of Kyiv National Economic University, where he earned a law degree. However, he never pursued a career in law, as his passion for entertainment took over. Zelensky's foray into the entertainment industry began in his teenage years when he joined a local comedy troupe. His big break came in the 1990s when he became a key member of Kvartal 95, a popular comedy group that performed in the Ukrainian and Russian-speaking world. The group gained widespread fame through its participation in the comedy competition KVN, a Soviet-era improvisational comedy show that remained popular in post-Soviet countries. Zelensky's quick wit and charismatic stage presence made him a fan favorite, and Kvartal 95 became one of the most successful comedy collectives in Ukraine. In the early 2000s, Zelensky transitioned from performing to producing. He co-founded Studio Kvartal 95, a production company that created numerous television programs, films, and satirical shows. One of his most notable projects was the TV series Servant of the People, which aired from 2015 to 2019. In the show, Zelensky played a high school teacher who unexpectedly becomes the president of Ukraine after a viral video of his anti-corruption rant captures the public's imagination. The show was a massive success and resonated deeply with Ukrainian audiences who were frustrated with real-life corruption and political dysfunction. As Servant of the People gained popularity, Zelensky's name became increasingly associated with real-world political change. In late 2018, he announced his candidacy for the Ukrainian presidency under the banner of the newly formed Servant of the People political party, named after his TV show. His campaign was unconventional, relying heavily on social media and direct engagement with citizens rather than traditional political structures. Zelensky positioned himself as an anti-establishment figure, promising to fight corruption, reform government institutions, and end the ongoing war in eastern Ukraine. His lack of political experience was seen by many as a strength rather than a weakness, as he was viewed as untainted by the country's entrenched political elite. In April 2019, Zelensky won the presidential election in a landslide, securing over 73% of the vote against incumbent Petro Poroshenko. His victory was widely interpreted as a sign of public frustration with traditional politics and a demand for a new direction. Since taking office, Zelensky has faced significant challenges, including the COVID-19 pandemic, economic difficulties, and ongoing tensions with Russia. His leadership has been tested by the full-scale Russian invasion of Ukraine, which began in February 2022. Zelensky's response to the war, including his refusal to leave Kyiv and his daily addresses to the Ukrainian people, has earned him international recognition as a determined leader defending his country. From his early days as a comedian to becoming one of the world's most talked-about political figures, Volodymyr Zelensky's journey is extraordinary. His transition from entertainment to politics demonstrates the power of media and public sentiment in shaping modern leadership. Whether he will be able to fully realize his vision for Ukraine remains to be seen, but his impact on the country's history is undeniable.